They will retain trust me on this Venom. Rad are going to be playing that rogue. There's the Star-Lord that we expected.
Saved Mantis,
and yeah,
but they're not
Fate
playing with
sticking
Mantis.
with this Jeff so that you can have both the speed bubbles to set up your team,
Makes,
but also symbiotic shenanigans and the ability to heal from afar.
Why would Rad save
will
Mantis
be playing that
and not play
counter dive
Mantis?
backline. Crazy Kitty though, going to have to try and keep a track of where exactly Jerky is. Both Daredevils giving both information to these teams to try and cancel each other's impact out.
No, they can still play Mantis, chat, if they ban Mantis. They're banning Mantis for NAVI. They saved Mantis.
But it's not going to be enough to protect Smashness, who's taken down immediately by Rajaro, showing the power of that rogue burst with the Gambit team up. But already switching over to the Psylocke to try and make sure they can get some pressure on, and with that little bit of extra mobility, try it and invade the dive here. But now Na'Vi already taking position on the point and will grab the first percentage here, whereas Rad are kind of just stuck on the high ground, being zoned away here.
Yeah, Rad not having that Gambit will be problematic when level 1 Crook's first ult comes through, especially because Terra's currently keeping check. Na'Vi got the first cat, but Ducky does have the first ult. Instantly, though, the elimination comes down onto Rad's line. They lose the Daredevil. It's traded for Jerky at the least.
Good morning, Dad.
Na'Vi having all of that positioning, all of that mobility around their players can literally just cycle their positions on this point to make sure that Rad can't oust them from it.
That's my dad.
Buster Barrage into the point with the Galactic Legend and the Raging Royal Flush. There's a desperate attempt to deflect from Daredevil. Smashness is on the run, but is being chased down, gets around the corner, takes cover, tracked, and Terra living up to their name as they force them all the way back to spawn. And Rad are sent scarpering once again.
Okay, but Rad did hold on to all of their ultimates, which does mean that you now have the double strategist ult fight.
To get up.
Vertigo will likely lose his ult to Fate, whose entire job with the It's Jeff is to hold the ult, wait for Vertigo to use his, and then carry him out of this team fight. As Spectral Surge looking to charm and set up that dive. Feast of the Abyss, though, from Trust Me, collapses onto Rad's back line, which totally deprives Crazy Kitty of any resources to live.
Terror is down. Trust Me, he's getting chased. Forced to use that symbiotic resilience. Going to get charmed. Forced to dash away, but is tracked beautifully. But Lugia tried to chase down and finish off as well, meaning that Vertigo a little bit slow with the Kumiho. The It's Jeff comes on out, not able to find the Kumiho to remove it from the board, something that Fate's been so good at. But it looks like Rad, burning through only a few of their resources here, will be able to get the flip before the 99, which is such an important point to get that turnaround so that you have a little bit of extra time in case you get reverse flipped.
Yeah, but Mash is now boxed into a corner against Rajaro. Rad have to go offensively first with something like Banhammer into Dance of the Butterflies before Na'Vi get the opportunity of collapsing onto Mash with the Heartbreaker and stealing all of that ult.
Rajaro is pressuring so aggressively.
I'm generally happy Jay streams all the time. No. How do you stay awake
immediately retreated,
the whole time I'm streaming, Jack? Go to sleep,
dropped a little bit preemptively here, and Na'Vi can just wait this out. Dance of the Butterflies to try and catch them off guard, to try and get a turnaround, but it finds nothing. Terra is out of the fight, but we're able to rejoin quickly thanks to the speed of that Star-Lord. And Rad do hold, but they have no defensive tools left. All they can do right now is land a perfect Gladrox to try and hold this as Na'Vi look to try and push him back, look to try and grab someone out of position. The pressure onto Lugia, who's getting out this time, meaning that they can hold for just a little bit longer.
Well, Na'Vi will just wait though, because now you have free Gambit, Star-Lord, and Rogue ult to engage. At least if you're Rad, like you said, you do have the Apex Predator from Crazy Kitty to respond. If level 1 Crook opens with Gambit ult, that is the Purify on cast used up, as opposed to saving it for the Elsa, but you're wanting to set up Terra. Here comes the Star-Lord, Rad wanting to be able to kite this out, getting caught on the disengage by Jerky, though, with the Let the Devil out, as Na'Vi invest big time in this fight to guarantee they get the flip.
They throw everything at it, but they get the flip.
I thought this was going to be a roll, but Rad did get 78%, chat. That's good.
There's a lot of damage coming out here. They need to be careful. It's Jet. They get it. The interrupt off the side. And Na'Vi, with that, are likely going to secure round 1. There is overtime, but who's even there to contest as Na'Vi have
Drive safely, Dad. I love you.
And the Abyss feeds well today.
Oh, it's a smorgasbord. And, you know, the main dish is Rad's tears. Oh, like, you have to feel for them. Na'Vi, like I said, they're such a smart team, understanding, yeah, this is a huge investment.
They win the round, and they show no emotion.
They don't have enough time to be able to have, like, players alive to siphon their position on the point.
That was a big
They'll
swallow
have to
by
go for the strange
Fate,
TP. And then Fate like holds the HGF as well, waits for all of the resources that could have potentially shielded the strange to be removed from play, and only then goes for the eat, to the point that RAD probably thought that they were safe, that they were going to have that portal, that they did not have to swap someone to something like the Spider-Man to be able to get the touch if the portal was stopped. And this is what NAVI are known for. Like, Fate was one of the OG Jeff players engineering.
Wait, where do you live?
How
Jay,
to play
save
the
me. I'm at
Lamb
work
Shark
and I
in
don't
pro
wanna.
play, because
It's gonna
it
be
used to be that you picked that
105
strategist,
today.
people thought you were throwing.
You were throwing or you were diving before the rework, but now it's just turned into such a big healer with the Na'Vi innovated Symbiotic Shenanigans team up with the Venom to really utilize a sort of just rolling Deathball style of composition. They've managed to make so much out of it.
And you work outside, bro. Make sure you drink water and stuff. There's like a heat wave as in there. Don't get, do not get a heat stroke, bro.
is just around the corner. Duffy, of course, will be building up an ult quite quickly as that Deadpool can build up very fast.
Yeah, but Terra can look for picks. He's off the Star-Lord onto that Hela, so he is going to be more vulnerable, as RAD now do have an easy dive target to go for. Crazy Kitty with the Apex Predator sets up the picks onto Na'Vi's front line. And trust me, he's actually going to invest the piece of the Abyss, applying that anti-heal on the backline. Na'Vi wanting to keep fighting this, wanting to get trades onto RAD's players, but also stall out the amount of point percent that they pick up from those early eliminations.
Terra's caught on the retreat. No ultimates burned outside of the Apex Predator to take out Terra from Crazy Kitty. Meaning that Na'Vi, they burned the face from the Abyss, and all they really did was delay the percentage so that RAD are almost up to a dozen the butterfly.
But he has the heart of a normal person.
Fate of both worlds and Freedom Charge. This is RAD about to have a pretty significant
I am a normal person.
advantage.
Bald people are normal people.
How good Na'Vi can play the slow roll, and that's a great way to do it. Pick people off one by one. Vertigo and Crazy Kitty taken out. Starts the butterfly finds nothing. Terra barely makes it out alive, but he does make it out, which is important. Fate of both worlds is gonna be dropped here just to try and delay. Freedom Charge is laid on top of it though, meaning all the defensive tools are used up. Unless Vertigo can make it back to this fight in time, then this might be going Na'Vi's way. Rajaro has fallen, is out the fight for a little bit as Crazy Kitty is coming in to reinforce.
That's panic comms. Like, RAD, one of their players who went down early, swapped to the Strange.
Wait,
obviously
RAD
the
is
call
doing
was
really
to
well,
use
bro.
a defensive ultimate to stall for time, so we
RAD
were on
might
point
be
and
able
get
to take a
TP
round
through,
off
but
of Na'Vi.
now you've
Chat? Wait a
overlapped
minute.
the cap and the Luna ult at the same time. Na'Vi more than happy to just try and disengage,
Boba,
wait for a
you don't wanna
regroup,
come in
and
here.
set up with this unmatched raging roll flush from Crook. Vertigo does have that Kumiho, but Fate will take it off of the board, as well as potentially
Boba's
off
crying
of
to
the
come into my
map
room,
with
but
the
he's not going to come
Jeff.
into my room. He's just going
Trying to
to...
make a run for it. Head to the edge. There goes Vertigo. Catches themselves. Teleports back with the Spirit Shield. But the numbers are heavily in Rad's favor. It's a 4-for-1 here. Trust me, barely makes it out once again. But with the symbiotic shenanigans, they heal everyone up. Fate gets out of there without going down to Lugia Goat. And Rad lose the point. Na'Vi's patience pays off. They now have the point.
This is really good for Rad, chat.
In their favor.
Yeah, and they'll have all of the
I
information.
mean, they don't have any
because
ults right
Rad
now,
have
but
gone
Navi
away
just
from the
used
Daredevil
both
match,
support.
so Jerky knows
never
exactly
mind,
where Rad will be
ults.
rotating from to hit them early with things like the Let the Devil Out or the Feast of the Abyss. As Terra now gets some more breathing room to be able to work the off angles before Rad can get the drop onto him, looking for that Soul Drainer, setting up Rajari, sending in deep with the Heartbreaker and stealing away all of the potential ult charge that Rad have to be able to react. That is fight done.
Roger piling on.
That was
the pressure.
good,
The
but they
damage
didn't even
boost
have
is
any
just
ult charge to
so
start with.
good. With the Hearts as one team up. Rad going to be regrouping here. Smash as a Crazy Kitty just going to back up, make their way back to the rest of the team. They've got 84%. There is a chance that they could get the flip here, but they just need to not be burning too many resources here.
Yeah.
They're at 68% towards
Did you
Fate of
just
both
wake up,
worlds.
Jay?
They
I woke
have
up
a
like
dance of butterflies, but Na'Vi,
45
they
minutes
don't
ago.
currently have their defensive tools to try and survive it. They're just going to have to group up or use their mobility to avoid the danger here. As Smashnez is chased down, and that's one way to avoid the danger.
Wait, he used his ult.
Smashnez tried to ult to save himself, to go invulnerable before Na'Vi get the elimination off onto him. Unfortunately loses his life before he can. Big Apex Predator though from Crazy Kitty. Starts finding trades back into Rad's favor. Freedom Charge from Lugia Goat. Terra trying to rip away all of that additional health with the Goddess of Death. Holds Rad off from being able to walk and actually commit to the point of the eliminations that they picked up previous.
In comes the dive. Lugia picked off, tried to get onto the point to just get a little bit of a delay. Bad Hammer comes on out from Ducky as it's the full engage from RAD. They're out of time to wait. They've got a 1-for-1. Now is the time to pull the trigger, but with the Raging Royal Flush into the backline, Jerky puts the pressure on and wipes the strategist line. Deleted from the board, and with that, all sustain that RAD could have had is gone.
Bro,
Lugia's looking for
RAD
a force, the only person close to the point
could have
though is
won this
Crazy Kitty,
so
who
hard,
cannot
bro.
touch,
They had
cannot
84%.
delay, and
Navi just used both
NAVI take
support
the
ults.
first
I mean,
map
they
in a
have
2-0.
the other ults,
Yeah,
but like RAD, all they had to do was just
moments
bait
of
out all those
strength that
ults,
you
go
can
in,
see from
and then
RAD there, like
and then they had their
panicking,
support
trying
ults
to
first,
live
and then
with
they
the
just win because of
Psylocke
support
ult
ults. But they
because
kind of
you're
fumbled the
being
ball
totally
there.
marked and scouted by Jerky on the Daredevil, overlapping the
They
Luna
kinda-
and
they
the
kinda
Capel,
fumbled
though.
the
That's
ball.
what truly cost them, because like when Navi used that Raging Roll Flush for the retake, they got the pickup onto Crook. There was no Galactic Legend to pair alongside it. It wasn't the total
Mantis,
fight
chat, and they
win
didn't even play
that
the
it
Mantis.
would have been with that combination in play. If you had Freedom Charge there, you probably hold the fight. So we can see the potential for RAD. It's just that Navi are putting them through so much pressure. Like, this is the true test. If you want to be a top 3 team, you have to prove that you can hold your own against the strain that Navi will put you under.
Got time to do it though. It's a best of 5. We'll find out more after this.
That is crazy. Damn, Jay, go to bed. I slept for like 6 hours last night, chat. I'm good. You sound so sleepy. I thought you said Boger was crying to get into the room. I think that's not me. Even if I was tired, I don't think that's me. I think that's you. I said Boba. Also, what time do we start tomorrow, chat? Let's see. Tomorrow we start at... Tomorrow we start at 7 a.m. again. Renko with the massive 2 months. Absolutely insane. Chopsticks for 45 months as well. Absolutely crazy. Lazara with the massive 2 months. Appreciate it, bro. NA starts at 4 p.m. Chat, 4 p.m. Dude. Why do we start at 7 a.m. for 3 days in a row, chat? Do you think Namor would be better if he was delayed hit scan instead of projectile? What do you mean delayed hit scan? I think you literally just described a delayed hit scan as a projectile. I think you literally just said projectile twice. Yeah, I don't know about that. Bro, you could sleep, we don't mind. I mind. This wouldn't be the best watch party if I didn't watch the games, chat. Like, that doesn't make any sense. Don't ever sleep again. What? Yeah, they only had one match. 7 with the massive dono on YouTube. I appreciate it, my friend. You're too kind. You're too kind. Delayed hit scan is like Spidey's hook. I think Namor is good where he's at, chat. Yeah. Old people don't need sleep. Don't old people go to bed at like 6 o'clock? Jay, is the tournament going according to your predictions? So far, out of 8 games, I had 7 predictions right. I don't know why you think there's a J3 curse, but there is no such thing as a J3 curse.
I outnumber you. Your powers are mine!
Sentinel, I did not curse Sentinels, chat. Sentinels. I don't know what the hell Sentinels was doing yesterday, but they seemed very lost. I think there's a few teams that are going to look for a lot of changes. I think for an example, we have 10 seconds, chat. I think if TSM doesn't do really well or step their shit up, I think TSM is probably going to drop their players. TSM is not looking good right now. Sentinels needs to step their shit up too.
On a heater right now. RAD are looking a little bit more cooked than what they're used to. Mostly chopped, but not as much cooked off of how that first map had been going. But obviously, as we're into the summer season now, we've just passed midsummer, so it's going to start to get slowly darker, colder. Now's the best time to get out your best swimsuits as I've had some pretty good luck, I think. I think Aramori was saying on stream yesterday that she got her first skin into and then the next one straight afterwards. I think, Moxie, you've been pretty lucky with being able to get these skins in-game as well, so it's trying your luck. It's going to be available for the rest of this month at the very least, so even if you don't have the chance now, you're too busy watching the games that you don't have time to play the game, then you have at least a few more weeks after the fact as we are looking at the season finals in the future. Speaking of which, eyes are certainly on qualifying for NAVI as they made quick work of RAD, much like last time on Celestial Husk.
Oh wait, I think whoever wins this does make it to
the draft. There's a lot of
they
cases
do
where,
make it to
Rogue is an
the grand finals. They make it to LAN. If they win this, chat, they make it to LAN.
Mantis first, and you don't have a good chance.
Which is obvious, right? Navi's gonna win.
Like a bit of a misstep.
Yeah, like, if they had the Loki, then I think the one-sided Mantis would have worked better. One, because you could have copied the Gambit ult with your Loki, and 2, because it would actually give damage boost properties to the regeneration cooldown
and I am very
ability.
loud
So
when it comes to streaming.
Navi totally correct in removing the Loki
Has anyone
in the
played
ban
today
draft.
or yesterday?
Like,
Yesterday there was
RAD,
8
I think
games.
they wanted
Today
to
we
get
just
the
started.
White Fox Luna and were banking on that being able to shut down the dive, but as we've seen so many times from Navi with players like Jerky on the Daredevil, even though White Fox
has
and
anyone
Luna
played
do match up
Blade? Sorry.
better into the dive as opposed to something like
no.
that Loki off of how easy it can be
This,
to jump
I feel
the God
like,
of Mischief.
and I don't know,
You don't
chat
have as
can
much
probably
crowd
agree
control
here, but I
as
do
you
think this
for
is
the
one
Luna
of the
White
most
Fox. You can
like,
see in terms of
diverse
casualties that RAD were not able
pro
to make that
games
counter dive backline
pro-
work against
matches we've
Navi
seen.
off
There's
of
been a
just
lot
the
of, like,
different
different
directions that Navi
characters.
would dive them from, so that both Vertigo and Mash did not really get the opportunity of shutting down any one specific piece.
Tetra, considering it was a 2-0 on Celestial Host, there's quite a lot of eliminations even going against Navi. It was trading either
I've
side,
barely
but I
played
think
since
Fate
beta.
now
Is the game
16
super
on
different, or
the
will I be
Jeff,
able to hop back
having
in?
the
Well,
combination with Trust Me, and this would be my argument.
you've
of, like,
missed
yeah, like,
about
not
2
banning the Rogue is a
years
problem when it
almost
comes
of
to through.
updates
The
and
problem is if
characters
you
and
ban out
stuff,
the
so I
Rogue,
would say
then
it's a little
Navi
different,
would just
yeah.
go Venom, Deadpool, and then you have another team up with the Jeff. It feels like you can't really ban out these players because not only are they flexible enough, but they also know.
Wait,
every
Honey
single
Badger is
team up
here?
hand in hand out
Damn,
that
Honey
isn't
Badger,
getting the main
okay.
focus in the draft, because who's focusing too much on symbiotic shenanigans right now? You know.
Also, as a quick reminder, that one time Fate went down was when he himself went off the
Yeah.
map.
Jumped off the map,
with
yeah.
With the
Doctor Strange.
Strange.
He had a essentially perfect game outside of a noble sacrifice jumping on
Good
the
morning.
grenade. This team, they have, like you say, they're so very effective with the team ups they use. The Rogue
17
Gambits
and a half
available.
hours
Oh no,
stream.
now we have the Jeff. Oh no, now we have the Star-Lord and the Rocket. The strategists are so much of an anchor around so many
I think
of those
people play
compositions
Hela instead
because
of
Na'Vi know that you can always trust Fate and Crook to have their back
Phoenix.
and to do what needs to be done.
People don't play Phoenix anymore. They play Hela.
We're going onto the map choice of RAD. There's a couple of other options that I guess that they could have in any given moment. Jali has been the most popular one, but that's also not been a bad map for Na'Vi. Spider Islands is where we're going to be heading. The one time that they picked it was up against Pulsar, where it very much got very interesting with the draft adjusting to how things were going. I think the problem, Moxie, is like adjusting the draft against Na'Vi feels like you're constantly fighting a losing battle. But we'll see exactly what the adjustments are going to be from RAD going into this one.
Okay, I think we see the Gambit save from RAD. I think
hope
that's
so.
the main adjustment, because honestly, like the biggest outlier for me when we looked at those stats just then, nope, they will continue.
Okay.
Oh
Both
no,
teams
there we
will
go.
be-
It is.
okay,
It is
yeah.
both teams going for the Mantis into the Gambit.
So-
Yeah. The largest outlier for me
so
when we looked at
Rad
the stats
saved the
just then
Mantis
from
last
Celestial
game,
Loss
but they didn't
was
even
that
use
Na'Vi
Mantis the whole
strategists
time.
both healed 21k. Rad strategists both were not able to breach 15,000. So
Yeah.
you can see like the speed that Na'Vi were able to lock up those eliminations and just how little impact Rad's backline were able to have. As we are speeding through this fan draft, Tetcher, both of these teams know exactly what they want
No
to
way.
secure.
Yo,
Wait, just to
Pixelon with the
elaborate on what you
massive
said,
dono.
was so
Appreciate it.
far
Are
from the
you
days of,
1-7's
last year
friend?
and the year
7? Are
before,
you?
where
Do you have your
so
friend here?
much of the meta was based around. Sorry, much of the
Appreciate it,
stats
guys.
you'd see,
Appreciate it,
Oh,
appreciate
the losing
it.
team has more healing because they took more damage and went down more often. We're very much in the era of we do enough damage now that you don't get a chance to heal. You don't get a chance to react.
Yeah,
Na'Vi
I actually
are gonna be
don't
able to
know
secure
exactly
themselves
why.
that
Ooh,
Cyclops, someone
the
who's no
Cyclops
stranger to
saved
enough damage
from
to
Navi.
find
I
out how to
actually
react,
don't
and
know
immediately
why.
Rad are like, nope, no thank you. Take away the Wolverine.
People are
we
picking
are not
Hela
dealing
over-
with that. Our front line is good.
Oh,
not
it's
gonna get
because maybe
isolated,
the
but they
Hela
will
has the
grab
team
their
up with
own
the
Wolverine here,
the
trying to
Venom.
force Na'Vi to ban out the Cyclops of their own.
Yeah, but if you're Na'Vi, you're actually really happy with how
Yeah.
this has gone, because you have Rogue, you have Gambit, you have Star-Lord, you have Loki.
Yeah.
The save onto the Cyclops, like Na'Vi potentially would not even have played it. It's more to force Rad to have to respond with a Wolverine ban, which then means that Na'Vi get so many more pieces to compile around
Yo,
this Gambit
sweet
composition.
roll. Appreciate the massive
which
12
they
months,
will
my
be
friend.
able to build. They still have the Venom, they still have the Jeff. If they want to go the direction of symbiotic shenanigans, they will remove the Cyclops so that Rad lose that team up. And Crazy Kitty is not as problematic, especially if Na'Vi do want to go for something like the Venom. Wolverine can be very much an issue because you don't have to play super aggressive. With that duelist, you can literally just babysit your backline, play a little bit more passive, know that the Venom eventually does have to commit his position physically to where he will dive, so that the Wolverine can look for the grab to keep his backline safe, as Na'Vi will be starting on the defense, and yeah, there we go. Rogue secured, so Rajara will be playing that one. Trust me, not on the Vanguard Deadpool, because you have the Venom to pair alongside Fate's Jeff, so you have both dive to be able to keep Rad occupied, and poke with that Cyclops to be able to have impact when Rad aren't able to turn around and look directly at you.
Navi's draft is so hard to deal with in
Okay, let's see
general.
this
You
chat.
brought it up that
J
yeah,
camera?
you've taken away
Yep,
some of
thank
the
you.
best tools, but they still have all the Navi tools. It's like if someone in the comics or the movies get... Oh, Wolverine go for a sail there. It's like if someone in the movies or the comics gave the Hulk a gun. Yeah, you can take the gun away from him, but he's still the Hulk. He's still going to cause problems for you, as Crazy Kitty is on the scout with the Hulk, ironically, to see if there is anyone to get a quick cheeky isolation on. Goes over, comes back, gets just so close to them, and finally grabs them, takes them over the edge.
Dude,
And it's a
Wolverine
huge amount of
players
damage on the
are
Crosby, trying to hold them
cracked.
in place, prevent them
They're
from
like
escaping,
on
but the
crack.
symbiotic resilience is just
That
too
crack.
much, and losing Smashness, it's Rad forced back into the spawn doors again.
Yeah, Rad try everything. Like, Vertigo starts on Invisible Woman, Ducky on the Emma, so that once Crazy Kitty's been able to find that grab onto Trust Me off of the fastball into the shift, you have more CEC. to be able to hold the Venom's position, but so much healing from Fate with the symbiote shenanigans, and then no attention towards Terra and Jerky mean that Rad lose 2 players and have to go back to the drawing board. Crazy Kitty getting stunned up. Ducky off of the Emma onto the mag does provide the bulwark for him to be able to survive, but in all that time, no one's actually scouting what Jerky is up to. Crazy Kitty's called in to keep the Psylocke off of the backline, but not a lot's really happening in terms of Rad progressing this map forward, so if you're Na'Vi, you're happy with how long, how much space that you have to be able to roam and shut this attack down.
The Rogue continuing to cause a lot of grief, making it through the bad phase for the 2nd time in a row. And Rad are forced back once again. They keep making it to the objective, unleashing everything, and Na'Vi survive. And that's just the biggest issue. They get a huge engage onto Trust Me. He lives. They get a huge amount of damage onto Rajaro and Terra. They live. It's just consistently Na'Vi saying, nah, I'd win, as they keep the pressure on and set up flanks as the Ruby Rage is at the ready. Here comes the Rage of Royal Flush. Not going to be able to catch everyone here, as Brook barely escaping for the full engage. Jerky finds Vertigo on the backline, and Terra is literally just playing duck cup back here, finding everyone as they try to retreat, but there's nowhere to run when the leader of the X-Men is chasing you down.
Rad is playing so split right now, chat. How are they supposed to win against Navi when they're so
Jerky
split?
is shut down by Ducky before he can get the iframes of the Dance of the Butterflies, so he loses that ultimate totally, and Rad now have a little bit more space to be able to work with. Feast of the Abyss forces Fate of both worlds, but Fate just eats the rest of the team. Ducky shuts it down with Meteor M, at least CC immunity into the one-shot potential to take the Jeff the Land Shark out, and Rad continue this movement that they've been able to find. So far, no one from Navi actually swapping to this range to be able to portal back, because they should just be able to get the touch off of Presence alone.
They've given up on the Hulk, no more fastball. It's all about Crazy Kitty giving themselves that mobility now. With Lugia Go fully charged up on the Freedom Charge, which they will drop for the defensive setup here so that they can try and push in further up to the high ground, sending Crook down to the ground. The front line is deleted for Navi here, and Terra wants none of the smoke. Gonna pull back, try and regroup with the team, may even run off the edge here, and will do
How
so.
tired are you?
110. Way out, just so they can regroup with their
probably
team.
like a G.
Down. But
maybe an
Terra's
F.
actually still retreating, still trying to make it back to the rest of their team. Will catch up to Fate, so doesn't need to worry about Lugia anymore. And in fact, we'll just take some of the hits to give Fate a bit more ult charge.
Yeah, smart play from Rad to start with Freedom Charge before Rajaro can drain it away with the Heartbreaker. So Navi try to play slow, wait for Freedom Charge to be done, and then hit with their ultimates, but they hit by the last stand instead. You've still got that Heartbreaker and Ruby Rage in pocket to be able to force Rad all the way back into spawn. So you're looking at Mash being able to use this Gambit ult and match Crook, but Navi having 2 ultimates to go alongside it can easily overwhelm the attack. Ruby Rage connects onto Vertigo, which means even though Rad do get the Gambit ult, they commit it?
They commit it!
2 players down. Rad used the Raging Roll Flush, which forces Crook to have to match.
Yeah, I think Rad looks very lost right now, chat.
Here, but
I don't think you're going to be able to. You're not going to be able to beat Navi if you seem lost.
Stuck in spawn. Navi are able to hold out. Terra takes a lot of damage there. Has to repulse to get away to make sure they don't get caught out of position here. But still continues to just ping from a distance. You can see Smashness take it to the high ground, trying to find the angle to engage, but here comes the Heartbreaker from Rajaro to force everyone out of position, finds the backline, finds the front line, body blocks to trap out Ducky, who's taken down once again, and you only need to take down 1 for Rad each time just to keep them back here, keep them staggered, because it's working so well for Navi to not really have to overcommit yet, because Rad are making any progress.
Yeah,
There's
that
no
was
need to yet.
Yeah, be content with the space that you have.
When are they going to bring back
one of the
Royal
hardest
Palace? Are
things
you
for
talking about
defense
that?
to do is be that disciplined as we get down to the butterflies.
That Loki King of the Hill map? Yeah, no, we don't need that in
totally
ranked. It's in quick
the
play
damage
now.
from Smash Naz.
Goes down.
It is in quick play.
To Lugia go after though. So Rad have finally been able to make the inroads that they were looking for, both with their presence from the high ground, and Crazy Kitty also unmatched on that Daredevil. We'll see if Jerky decides to swap to be able to match it. Yeah, there we go. Information for information,
want that
setup for
map
setup
out.
from
Chat,
both
that
of
map
these
is
teams.
so
But
ass.
right now having snowball potential. You've got
The
Pedophile
map is
that's
really
likely going to be
there's
caused by
two
Trust
really
Me
good
diving
points,
in deep
but
with
that
Feast of
one
the
map
Abyss,
where
but
it's that
there's
like
no
middle
more
thing and you
for
could break
the
that
rest
middle
of Navi's
thing
players. It's only Ducky
and you could
trying to
drop
hold the
into
space
that.
with the
That
Nietzsche
map
and
is
he gets
shit.
taken out by Terra, forcing Vertigo now to have to use the Luna ult in neutral.
Oh, he's gonna ult. He's gonna ult.
Eye raise with Ruby Rage are blockable by Meteor M,
Oh,
but it finds
Terra,
nothing.
Terra,
A sustain from
You know,
Brad.
I'm
They
so
take on
glad
the
that
freedom
actually
charge.
happens to the
Everyone else
pros,
was
too.
Consistently regenerating bonus health. They force everyone from Navi off the point, and now it's all about the stagger. Chase down everyone you can. Take out Jerky. Take down Rajaro. Portal's coming out to prevent the capture here, but there's a lot of damage coming in from Terra, who has to drop the portal ASAP to make sure he's not interrupted. But the team are still only just respawning. They'll make it for the interrupt, but they can't step forward. They have to wait for everyone. But the Symbiotic Brazilians coming
Typical
on
J3
out.
Cyclops
The
ult. Are you guys comparing Terra to me? Terra needs years to be as good as me, chat.
Jerky is taken down. Smashness falls. Lugia falls. Lugia is alive. Lugia gets out of there. He's still in the fight, barely getting out of there. Turns it off to Trust Me immediately to keep that pressure onto the point, as Trust Me is dancing back and forth to keep the pressure to stop that point from moving, but they're taken down. Jerky makes their way back in for the contest. Terra is holding it. It's almost got himself Aya Wakamoto to delay this. It's overtime.
Do they know they have a touch point?
Counter portal comes on out from Rad to keep the fight going, but still no sustain tools. Vertigo swapped over to the Loki for the regeneration domain, but will there be anyone to use it
look
on?
at the
As
poor
they try and
Mag.
make
The
it
poor
through the
Mag
ball.
was stuck in the
It's
corner.
removes them from the board, and Navi put
The
a
poor
stop to
Mag
Rad's
was
offense.
just
Yeah,
shoved in
Navi
a
just hit too
locker,
many
chat.
ults in the OT. Like, Lugia does so much work on that Captain America, running at Crook, zoning him out of the fight, making it so much harder
The poor
for Navi
Magneto
to be
looked
able
like
to
me if
hold
I
on
ever
off
met
of
you
jet
guys
fuels
in like
alone,
high
but
school.
Symbiotic
Shoving you guys in
shenanigans
the
gets the
locker.
job done into the It's Jeff, and then you have
You know,
so many ults.
Funny
that you
enough,
get those picks off
my
onto Rad's
whole
players, you force
grade
them to have to
school
use a counter
experience,
TP.
I've never
Like
used
you
a
said,
locker in my
Vertigo
life.
even goes for the Loki to use regeneration domain just so that you have that extra layer of
I've never
sustainability,
used
and
never
it's all
used the
shut
locker.
down by the It's Jeff from Fate. Valuable effort from Rad, very much valiant off of how close to
Why?
a full hold, honestly.
I never
It
needed
started
a I
looking
never
like
needed a
for
locker.
how
I don't
long
know.
it took
I
to
thought
be able
getting
to
a
walk
locker
out of
was
that spawn, but some very
weird.
smart swaps onto the Daredevil and the Cap, which Navi then matched with a Daredevil of their own, did somewhat even the playing field for a little bit of time.
Like you never.
It was a valiant offense,
Yeah, we
like
just have
you
our
say, but now
backpacks,
it's
but you
all
never have
down
to bring like
the
those huge
defense, and you
textbooks
see some
textbooks to
very
schools.
slight adjustments coming on in here. They're sticking with the Daredevil from the start this time. Not going to be starting with the Wolverine. They want to make sure they can match Navi if they come out with the aggressive Daredevil of their own, which they're going to be doing so. Terra sticking with that Cyclops.
Yeah,
that
so,
damage
like,
output's been doing wonders for them, especially against Ducky. Turns out concussive energy blasts from the punch dimension are not absorbable by magnets, so pretty easy to just light them during the Meteor M if need be. But for now, it's all about the just Navi trying to get into the backline, take out Daredevil early, remove the information, but Crazy Kitty will barely be able to get away. He re-engages, gets reinforcement, everyone shows up, and they will force Navi off the high ground. But while all this is happening, the cart's moving.
Yeah, cart's moving. No Cap to stall it. Since you're having to lane stack alongside Crazy Kitty as Navi tried to
we don't have
overwhelm that
lockers.
off
I have
angle
2
to
bags.
get their
You
rogue
take
into
2
the back line,
backpacks
which
to
means that
school?
no eliminations, but look at the amount of space that they've been able to force Rad to have to give up. All the while, that objective moves totally uncontested. As you're
That's
now
crazy.
down Crazy Kitty, you're down that information of knowing
Nope.
when
They just said
Navi
that's
will
crazy,
show
and they
up.
said Crazy Kitty.
Ducky does get Fate out of this, so it's only heals for level 1 Crook, but that just means that Navi will be able to hit that Raging Roar flush really quickly.
I don't know. I don't want to brag, but I was that cool kid in school. I used those. Chat, what are they called? Remember the Heelys?
Usually comes out ahead in those fights because
Those shoes with the rollerblades in them, and then I used to have a rolling backpack.
Raging Roar flush comes on out early.
Yeah, man, I used to be really cool.
They can try and keep the fight going with the Ruby Rage. Takes out Vertigo onto the backline. Meteor M looking for some kind of counterplay, but Terra's got a beautiful flank going on here to try and get onto the backline. Crazy Kitty being tracked down. It's the jewel in the sky, but Terra has the aerial advantage with the
Oh
knockback
my
from their own
God.
blast. Takes them out
2
with the melee.
DPS go on
Smash is
Terra,
finished
and
off
they
at the end,
both
and
lose.
Navi take a pretty scrappy but very convincing fight.
Terra wins 1v2 against the Daredevil Psylocke. Now, granted, it was more 1v1 and then 1v1 after because Smashnez is staggered from when he's able to
Jay3,
find the
you
fight
and cool
versus
don't belong
Cyclops
in the
as
same
opposed to
sentence.
jumping at the same time with Crazy Kitty and trying to
How about
overwhelm.
you and
But
eat my
still,
ass?
a huge fight win for Navi as they pick up
I am the
first point
coolest
very, very quickly.
person
But have
ever.
to find a way of slowing down what Navi are able to just force them to give up yet more space. But Navi are totally relentless. This is what we've seen from them in the past. Gain 1 point and then use ults to force the defense to give everything else up so that you take it down to one last fight as it's Jeff gains on to Lugia Goat, meaning no cap stall on the objective.
Damn,
Navi
poor guy, bro.
continue
Got
pushing
put in a
Rad back.
corner and bullied.
Bit by bit, Fate was actually using that ult defensively, just found the cap by mistake by the looks of it, or at least just saw him way better than I did. Fate does go down to Crazy Kitty, who's piling some pressure onto the backline with the help of Vertigo, who immediately gets locked down the second that Fate of both worlds ends up and keeps the pressure on, chasing them down. And this is NAVI once again taking a little bit of a back and forth, but the second they start getting the momentum, it just snowballs. They're pushing forward. You can see that finish line, that blue line.
I want to see Terra stats.
Right before second objective here, and Rad
I feel like this guy has been free shooting the whole game.
To group up forward. Raging Roll Flush comes on out, jerking into the backline, immediately Ducky falls that huge amount of sustain, and Lugia may have to ult just to stop the point from going down here, and they will do so. This is going to have to be a Ducky portal if they want any chance of doing this, but no, they're just going to hope that Lugia can time this out and make the way in. Here comes the portal. They know they have to delay this. Lugia is giving everything they can, but it's a 1 versus 6 right now. Portal comes on out. Vertigo once again bringing out the Loki for that little bit of extra sustain with the regeneration domain to try and keep the fight going every second longer, but it's too late for Strange. It's too late for the front line. It's too late for Crazy Kitty, who's sent back through the portal to try and buy time. They buy as much as they can, but the damage output from Crook even is able to just pile on the anti-heal, pile on the burst, and it's Jeff, just to guarantee that no one else can come in for the reinforcement. That's going to be a double
GG's
grab,
chat.
and the car moves forward. Spider's era reaches the end, and Navi extend their lead.
Oh, portal recontests always have the same issue. You control 0 angles when you pile out. You have to rely on ultimates to be able to stabilize your position, which means that Terra totally uncontested. Here's the portal.
Jay, why
moves
aren't you
behind
playing?
it, sits on the off
If I was
angle,
playing, it would
and
be really
just
unfair
chips
for a
in
lot of people,
so
and I'd
much
just be winning
damage
all the
to
tournaments,
be able
chat. So I'm
gain
trying to
those
give some other
eliminations
people,
for Navi
you know,
before
to have their
Rad can
fun.
hit win conditions to be able to sweep that fight in their favor. Fate even using the HGF to get the grab.
Yeah,
like
for your
jumping the
team.
shark literally up against the Loki clones to make sure that Vertigo does not get to keep healing his team.
Nah, chat, you
and
know,
be able to keep Rad
if
in
I
that
played in
fight
every
for
single
longer.
tournament and won every
We
single
will have
tournament,
to
chat, it
see
just
if
wouldn't
Rad
be
can
fun.
continue
It
in
wouldn't be
this
fair.
series longer.
So
It's
I just
match
want
point
people to
after
have
this
their
break.
fun. Oh, we're going on a break. Me when I'm insane. You, the shit that you type, you are insane. I can't stop watching that Punisher one pump Phoenix clip. Bro, that is the funniest clip ever. What is the local time for you? It is 7:48 a.m. How much sleep did you end up getting? I don't know, like, I went to bed after the last game. What was the last game? Ended at like what, 12? So I probably went to bed at like 12:31. So about what, 5 hours? 5, 6 hours? 6, 7? 5, no, 5, 6 hours. Listen, chat. I am completely awake, bro. I just have to whisper because Emily's sleeping and I don't want her to get mad. How's the phone situation? Horrible. Horrible. That's why I am getting close to my mic and I am whispering, chat. I'm sorry. When do you get time for the gym? I take a day off. How many subs to scream out loud? Donate me 20,000 subs right now and I'll scream. What? Yesterday you slept on the sofa. That's why you're so tame today compared to yesterday night. What? Why would I sleep on the sofa, chat? I'm going to sleep in my bed. Also, we have a guest bedroom. Why would I not just sleep in the guest bedroom? Can I get in the guest bedroom? No. Get away from me. RAD, come back in. If RAD ends up coming back and winning, I will shave off every single hair on my body. Not even shave. I will wax off every single piece of hair. Live. On camera. Oh, dude, where's Seven? Is this Seven's friend again? Brooklyn with the massive dono again. Fan from Hong Kong. Have a good one, Jay. Appreciate it, my friend. Appreciate it. You guys are too nice. Careful with these promises. Do you guys really think that NAVI is going to lose? NAVI, I think, is the best. I want to say one of the best with Virtus Pro. Even though I think Virtus Pro does not beat NAVI. So NAVI is the best EMEA team. Wait, it took so long. You forgot Heretics? I don't think NAVI beats... I don't think Team Heretics beats NAVI. And I don't think Team Heretics beats Virtus Pro. Team Heretics has a better chance of beating Virtus Pro than they do have beating NAVI. Does 100 Thieves play again today, or is it not like that? No, 100 Thieves plays today. 100 Thieves plays Swamp Gaming. Which I think 100 Thieves is going to lose. Like, they're going to lose 0-3. Yo, what's up, Brandon? I hope NAVI gets a bad case of STD. What?
Rider Island's not quite going the way of RAD Esports, and NAVI have found themselves one map win away from qualifying for the event that they won last year, the mid-season finals. Joining us alongside myself is Tetra and Moxie, who I feel we were sort of expecting this kind of like almost like one-sidedness to an extent, where NAVI were looking like the top team. Tetra, what we didn't expect is that like NAVI just don't seem to be movable at all with the draft. It feels that whatever composition they play is
STD as in stick drift boomer 3.
I mentioned it
That
at the
doesn't make
start
any
of the game,
sense.
like building on something that
Navi needs
said earlier,
stick
and that
drift?
is that you've banned out all of the best characters, or you target ban something of Navi's. Oh no, they've either got the best meta roster, or you've let through one tiny thing like the Rogue, or to get all of the Cyclops, and suddenly you've got the best player at that hero has just been given it. You can't ban the pocket picks, you can't ban the meta, you can't ban the multiple, like, good strategies that Navi just has sitting in their pool here.
Last game, he went
can't
35 kills,
ban
2 deaths.
Navi yet. No one figured it out.
And it feels like with the sort of looking at the best players in certain roles, Moxie, the one
Can you
thing
explain
that
what
maybe
happens
say
after this
Navi were
tournament? What's
lacking from,
next?
Like last year
Do they,
was
if they
like
lose,
that
they're out completely?
S-tier poster boy
The
duelist,
best
they picked him
3
up in there,
teams
right?
from
He's been
EMEA and NA do
Yeah,
move
and you
on
can
to
see,
a
like, the
LAN
space that he got to work
mid-season
with
finals,
on Spider Islands. We were
which is
following
going to
his
be
POV
next.
for a huge
So
amount
instead
of
of
time.
being online
And
play
he
like
would
it is
just be
right now,
walking
they're all
around
going
the
to
map,
be
walking behind Rad's own
at the
spawn
LAN
room,
event, which I don't know
essentially
where it is.
Totally
They haven't announced anything, I
uncontested
believe.
off of how occupied Rad's team had to be with dealing
And
with
they play,
the rest of
instead of
Navi.
for
And I
like
think, like, the fact that
200,000, they
he
play
was
for
able
like
to get that much
500,000, like
damage,
a
he
million.
outdamaged everyone in the lobby by a good 10,000. Goes to show that he's able to hit his shots, but also find the eliminations off of the back of them as well. So every time that Rad were looking at the Vanguards or trying to hit the backline with things like their Daredevil or their Dive, no one was really keeping an eye on what exactly Terra was up to. As like in the composition they were playing, if you're wanting to go and mark that Cyclops, it has to be the job of something like the Psylocke, but we were just seeing a total absence of where Smashness was playing in regards to where Terra was.
Looking into this third map in the best of 5 could potentially go all of the
Why
way,
do these
but it
room
would
cams look
require
so
Tetsuya
sad and
Rad to
dark
turn this
and
around on
empty?
another map choice. This time, however,
Yeah,
it
it's their
has to be
bedrooms most of the time.
Convergence.
What do you
We've seen
want?
them sort
What
of
do you
pick
want?
the likes of Jolly
Do you
in the
want
past
them to
in
have a
Central
stripper
Park,
pole in
but
their
these are
room or
also
something?
well-versed maps. In fact, for like Navi, they've played everything this year apart from Shin Shibuya or Symbiotic Service.
It's just-
which
it's
maybe
just a-
could be an
it's
option
just
for
their
Rad because they're
bedroom.
3-0 on Clintar. It has been going relatively well for them, but it has been picked against them for the most part, not for them.
Yeah, the question is how confident are they on utilizing that pick to try and catch Navi off guard, but how can you catch a team off guard that's been playing since Season 0 in one form or another together, that's just grown and evolved since then? The fact that while Rad have shown that they have the flexibility and the capabilities to adjust their compositions, how do you adjust to this? Right now, my biggest concern is, are Rad going to be able to stay out of their own heads? Because they've been in the situation
I just
before
don't like
where
that
they've
Red Bull
had some
fridge
closer
just sitting there
matches
with no
teams
Red
against,
Bulls
like,
inside of
Shinigami,
it, chat.
for example,
It just
and
looks so
they've sort of
sad.
started to struggle a little bit as time has gone on. This isn't even that situation. This is a situation where Rad have been able.
Every time I see
not
that Red
get
Bull
much
fridge, bro, I
versus
look at
Navi,
it.
but
It doesn't even
still
look like it's
forced
plugged
to
in.
that Central Park final map potentially.
Yeah, Central Park picked
Do they play in an
here
actual
4
house or an
times total
office?
from Rad, and they're 1 and
Depends.
3 on it, so it's not quite gone their way. But also, Navi have not won this map this year. What a
Like
chance to
100
turn
Thieves,
around,
for an
guys. Take it
example.
away.
100 Thieves has like their
I
own,
do like this. We did see similar to
Like,
we did see
I
Navi
guess,
with a little
studio
bit of
on one of their
PTSD
properties
earlier
or
in
something.
The first series where the Mantis made it through, and immediately they're just like, we remember Shikigami.
Some people
and
have team
banned out the
houses.
Ultron to
Like a
prevent
compound, there you
that
go. Some
similar
people have team
situation,
houses,
and
like
this
Swamp
is
Gaming.
the map where it happened, but in this case, it's Navi who are going to get their hands on the Mantis right away, and it's going to be Rad. Sorry, it was the wrong way round. It is going to be Rad who get their hands on the Mantis once again, and Navi, still avoiding PTSD, will take the Ultron away and grab themselves a one-sided gambit.
I mean, Loki ban surely comes next now.
Please.
For Navi at some stage, since Rad do not get the opportunity to save
Okay.
before Navi can target it out. This I do like from Rad though. I do like
Yeah.
addressing the Daredevil because like Central Park's a very strong map. For Dive, Daredevil can get all the way around the back of point without having to navigate through main or the high ground positions. Plus, it's really reliant, like a lot of what Navi have done is relying on what Jerky is giving them in terms of setup, but now that they've been able to get the save onto the Starlord alongside the Gambit, do Rad remove the Rocket, but they'll
the
take out
Rocket
the
or the
Venom
Rogue?
instead, which now targets out that Jeff. And honestly, I prefer
I really
this
do
outlook
hope
because what we
Rad
saw
uses
from
the
Rad
Mantis, though.
versus
If you're gonna save the
Shiki
Mantis,
from
chat,
yesterday
you gotta play
was that
the
they were more
Mantis.
than happy to let the Gambit Starlord through because they just placed Ducky on Mac.
That is true. They were just able to absorb it, and a big problem with that was the Cyclops that they've taken away. So they've been able to prevent that just being burst through. They secured themselves a one-sided Cyclops. They had the option to secure themselves a one-sided Daredevil for asymmetrical information here, but they're deciding against that, instead securing a damage-boosted Cyclops to pile on a little bit of extra damage themselves. Na'Vi just trying to remove a little bit of extra
cooked for
backline
voting
potential
100
here.
Thieves
They've
today?
taken
I
out
hate
the
agreeing
Lunar
with
Snow,
Jay.
preventing a bit of counter
You think
dive
100 Thieves is going to
Rad
beat
decided
Swamp
to go
Gaming?
that direction, but Rocket left available not just for Na'Vi here, but actually for Rad as well, so they could go for double damage boost here. But Na'Vi with the Raging Royal Flush.
If you don't
and the
like your
Cosmic Yard
money,
Amplifier,
you could just give
plus
it to
Terror on
like
Star-Lord,
chat and
it's
myself
another
now
one of the
if you
situations.
want.
This is potentially
Can
one
you
of my
imagine
favorite
voting against
drafts that Rad
Swamp
have
Gaming?
had so far, and I'm still scared of Na'Vi because they still feel like they've got everything. They Rogue made it through as well.
Yeah, Rogue and Mag and Loki and Rocket all available, and like this was the other thing for Na'Vi because of like the flexibility. You can run things like the Vanguard Deadpool. Since you don't have access to the Venom, you're not going to be trying to rely on the Jeff as heavily, so obviously it's a turn for Fate on the Rocket now, which now sets up Terra to have more impact. So we'll have to see Rad able to actually like shut
They're gonna play
down
Mantis
what exactly
Rocket.
Na'Vi has planned. Is the last time they tried to secure this Mantis, they weren't able to actually even use the Mantis, having to rely instead on the Luna and the White Fox. And this time, Na'Vi not only have taken the Ultron away from them, they also removed the Luna. So Rad get the Mantis,
Okay.
but don't have the opportunity of playing the Luna White Fox up against Na'Vi's dive. Instead, they're playing this really weird composition of double strategist Mantis Rocket. Since you're not really going to be looking for these engages to take a massive amount of time, you're not relying on that full sustainability level of heals for a brawl tempo fight. You'll be in and out, setting up, restabilizing, going in once more.
We're getting KO'd
What is bro
anyway, so we
doing at
might as
7
well do
a.m.?
as
You
much
need
damage as we can before
EEL.
we do. That seems to be the
EEP.
idea for Rad here. As
I think I need sleep. Brother, you can't even spell sleep. You go to bed.
You can hear Lugia flanking around to the side here, seeing if they can catch someone out of position. And Rad, so far, they are attacking through this, with the exception of Crazy Kitty being taken down earlier. But already, Bad Hammer coming on out. Trust me, pulls the trigger to try and take out the
It's fine. After this game, we'll have a community sleepover.
Scarpering back to base.
Yeah, the
What
Trust Me
movies are we gonna
special.
watch?
Use the Unicorn Shield to block and
Ooh, you know
isolate
what movie
players
we should
from
watch? We should watch like some of the
and
good
then
old
jump
like
them before they have the heals to
we should
get
watch
stabilized. No
Hercules,
Loki,
chat.
no
Ooh.
way of cheating
Like
that
the Disney
elimination with the
Hercules?
regeneration domain. Ducky was able to hold on to his life though, Tetcher, so he does have Banhammer to open up into this fight with us. Jerky gets slept, huge sedation from Mash on the backline to be able to keep Rad in this fight.
They're holding it for now. Lugia goes down, but they come back at the Battle Rebirth Beacon. Fate falls. That means numbers right now are in favor of Rad, as they're going to be able to keep this fight going. Terra falls. Rajaro retreats from the battle with Crook. They see Lugia, and Lugia wants none of that smoke, just going to make sure that they're zoned out and can't make their way back in. But Jerky going to Portal. They think they can retake this. Trust me, respawning means there'll be a 6 versus 6. Makes that a 5 versus 6 as Jerky is taken sailing off the map by Crazy Kitty. He hasn't found the angle yet. Pick up the Raging Royal Flush from Crook with a 5 versus 6. They still think they can force them back, and they are right. Lugia falls. The damage output is too good. Terra is literally chasing them down now. Here comes the Soul Resurgence for a little bit of extra sustain, but is it enough to sustain through the Galactic Legend?
Oh my
Ruby
God,
Rage
bro.
with the tackle from Wolverine takes them down. Rada trying to
Dude,
take this with a
the
scrappy
Wolverine hit
fight,
the
but
Star-Lord
Na'Vi
in the
are
air.
losing
Dude,
members
holy
one
shit.
by one. The armed amplifier is going down. and
Wolverine
they've been
players
forced
are
into the choke
crazy,
point.
dude.
Rad have broken open Central Park.
This is the Rad versus Na'Vi matchup that we were hoping for. That is a clip moment for sure. Crazy Kitty connecting onto Terra, mid-galactic
This
legend
guy-
with the last stand.
Someone
That
needs
is
to
the
check his
stuff that
PC.
you dream of if you're a Rad fan. As yes, they lose 1 to the Raging Royal Flush retake from Na'Vi, but they still have the Soul Resurgence to boost back into the fight, as Terra actually off of the Star-Lord onto the Hela now that some of these sightlines open out more and there's more distance before RAD are able to collapse on top of him, he will be much more problematic for things like Vertigo to have to deal with. Early ban hammer from RAD, though, despite losing the
Devour
rocket, they
for
still
22
want to
months.
keep
Appreciate
this
it, appreciate
fight
it.
going.
How you doing, my
keep
friend?
the pressure onto NAVI, force them to have to back away before they can build up Crook's ultimate to try to push back.
Mash is going crazy right now with these sleeps. Gets another one, but unfortunately, we're starting to see the lack in healing output from RAD start to come into effect as Terra pings from a distance. Jerky does go down, gets punished for a little bit of a push there.
Oh
but
yeah,
the
dude,
pressure
Ricky,
is
dude.
still meaning that if
Wolverine
RAD
players are
don't
scary.
get
Some of them are
pickups
some of them are
early, we're starting
crazy.
to see NAVI just whittle them down and take them off
Also,
the
chat,
board
there's
here.
no way
And
that
Ariba Beacon
RAD is gonna
cancelled
reverse
and
sweep NAVI.
repositioned after a
It's
little
just- it's
bit
not-
of
it's
an aggressive
impossible,
step
bro.
up from the members of RAD, and the Raging Royal Flush comes on out. Commitment from Crook, caught out of position, locked down, forced to double dash, will fake it back into Fate's healing output. I mean, they can hold this for now, but RAD, they disengage, lose 2, but they forced out a huge ultimate from Crook here without burning either of their defensive tools.
Yeah, but they lose all of the space. So now, trust me, can sit on the high ground, poke at RAD as they come out. There's no pressure onto Terra as well, so RAD have to be very careful
Hey,
about
what's
how
up,
they
Zerx? How you
rotate.
doing? How you
Luca
doing?
got actually on the Hulk now for fastball to enable Crazy Kitty, chucking him directly at Trust Me so that he is taken out. Banhammer did come through, but there's no follow-up
That's good to
damage.
hear, that's good to hear.
Dance of the Butterflies from Jerky, but there's more than enough partners in that dancing melody for RAD's players to stack in on top of the Soul Resurgence, keep everyone topped up healthy, and keep
Yeah,
this
and
fight
I'm very
moving as they
surprised that
push Navi
Terra's
back.
going to the Hella
Ladies and
again.
gentlemen,
I know,
they're
I mean, it's
essentially the most
working,
mobile
but
Wolverine of all
they
time,
have-
with the fastball, with the team up, with Cyclops for the helicopter. Here comes the Cosmic Yard Amplifier for the damage boost. Terra's taken down, will be brought back at the beacon. Crazy Kitty with the
Solo
last stand, trying to
ulted
force
and he
them off
didn't
the
even
point,
do
but
any
Navi
damage.
have just disengaged this beautifully. They regroup, lock down Crazy Kitty. The healing output is still coming in with the bad hammer from Ducky to try and get onto it. Lugigo falls, but the Rebirth Beacon brings them back. Immediate transformation into the Hulk as Rajaro is not able to sustain through this. RAD have the momentum. They're about to break open Dracula's castle.
RAD
They can't
made it
trust
all
me
the way
trying
to
withdraw
third point.
mid-air with the Hulk, and RAD keep on moving, Moxie.
Yeah, RAD just relentless, like you said, working out that
What's up,
Navi
Grim?
will
I
take
did
them
not
out
get a new
even
phone
if
yet,
they
but I
have
appreciate the
more
kind words.
healing output as a backline. It would just make them vulnerable. So go for the rocket with the BRB. If you lose someone because you don't have the healing to keep them up, you bring them back, and you can just play to keep yourself alive away from the attention.
I want to see this Wolverine's POV. You could, after the series is over, you could go
teams to be
to
able to fully push into Dracula's castle when they
the
start losing
esports
those
tab.
angles. Heartbreaker from Navi early
And
on. RAD
you
not having a great
can
response
watch his
to it. So
POV,
just
actually.
finding the eliminations, brute forcing through the fight themselves, getting that pickup onto Crook before the BRB can bring him back. Navi still wanting to make this fight cost, though. Goddess of Death, nothing from RAD to be able to block it. Everyone just has to slow the fight down, take cover, and allow Crook to come back in this fight.
Mashness does go down, but will regroup to the rest of the team. Cosmic Fastball, looking to send them up, over, just getting Terra, but not enough to force them off the point. But Terra has to use their mobility now and is forced to retreat to the rest of the team. They can't play forward anymore, as immediately RAD are on the hunt one more time. Here comes the bad hammer, and that's rough news for Crazy Kitty, but they're able to retreat back to the rest of the team. But Smashnez and Mash all taken down. They burn the Yard Amplifier, thinking they can take this, even though they're down 2 members. And I think that might have been a mistake, because
Ooh,
RAD
huge
are just
stun.
so outnumbered here, forced to continuously burn resources just to keep their space right now. The Monster Hulk comes on out to try and pressure, but with the Yard Amplifier from Navi, they do lose Trust Me, but positioning is heavily in Navi's favor.
I mean, RAD are just throwing more ultimates into this fight, caught in that sunk cost mentality. Now you don't have the Soul Resurgence. Jerky with the Dance of the Butterflies will find the damage through, and Navi have the players available to instantly pile on top, pushing RAD all the way back to having now to walk into a full retake situation. Navi do have to be careful, though, with Smashnez with that Ruby Rage, as well as that fastball engagement from Lugia and Crazy Kitty. Can take one of these players out early if they're not prepared for it, but they're tightening the hold around these chokes, Thatcher. They will not allow RAD free passage back onto the objective, as OT is about to hit, which means that no one from RAD can really put pressure on Terra, who sits back totally untouchable, looking for those pick opportunities on the Hella.
Ferris thinking about a flank, thinks better of it. Too risky with the Wolverine on the board. Overtime comes on out. Ducky does touch, but they're still very scared to make their way onto the point. You can see the fear of the Wolverine, but they catch them on the rotation. Lugia is barely able to tank on up. Terra,
Dude.
no one touches!
Oh,
Rad,
no.
no! Dracula's castle still belongs to Navi, and you can see some smiles on their faces.
I
They
have
know
never
that
seen
could have
so
been
many
bad,
C9s
but Navi
in my
just handed
life
a
than
lifeline here.
these past 2 days in the
Yeah, like,
playoffs, chat.
Moments like
The
that in this
playoffs.
series just show some of the cracks that RAD are feeling at the moment. Like, Navi are putting
There
them
has
through
been
so much
at
pressure.
least,
I do really like that composition on the
5
attack.
or
We
6
will have to see how it fares on the
C9
defense.
so far, and
Because
it's only
now
been
if
a
Navi
day.
want to brawl and try and force these
Like a
fights
day
to last,
I don't want to say a
pulling
day and a
Rad's
half,
attention
because it
to the
hasn't been a
point
half
itself,
yet.
that's where we're going to potentially see the strain if they're not able to withstand the sheer length of these fights, building up
I've seen
ultimates,
6 or 7.
falling back
No,
behind the
chat.
point,
5 or 6.
trying to play the retake with them,
Not
with
6 or
walking with
7.
things like that Cosmic Yarn amplifier. So for RAD, they're basically going to have to get picks onto Navi before Navi can actually get the objective on their side.
Before you attack. Get ready.
And that's going to be a difficult situation when you're on that defense. You can see that they are looking at that Venom, potentially for a little bit of extra burst damage. Mash has given up the Mantis for the defense.
Yo,
They
Greg,
know they
appreciate the
need
massive new tier 1
something
sub,
with
my
a bit
friend.
of
Welcome,
heal
welcome.
and something with a
Stability.
bit more healing output. The Invisible Woman will see some play
What's a
here. And honestly,
C9?
it's a solid choice. It does make a difference.
Exclamation
It
mark
does mean
C9,
Lugia,
it's a command.
Ducky, Crazy Kitty, all these characters who are going to be forced to play a
I
bit
could better
further
explain it for
forward
you.
are
It has the
at risk
history and the
of getting
lore.
it taken out without the damage boost allowing them to trade up. Vertigo's revive is going to have to do some work here.
Yeah, not just that, but Rad's players aren't really going to be stacked in front of Mash at all times, so the build up to Invisible Boundary is actually going to be relatively slow in comparison to if you were playing a more front-to-back composition, as Crook could potentially build up that Raging Royal Flush before Rad get a response to be able to take the fight slow. So once again, it falls to Rad being aggressive, finding these eliminations onto Navi's players. It will be traded, though, for Fate's BRB cooldown. So Navi can continue trying to hound through front line.
Terra looking for some pings. Jerky on the flank.
No, I don't think
seeing
Tank
Fate out of
Pool's that
position.
dead.
Quick blow up would be huge.
I think Tank
Terra
Pool is
is
still
literally
fine.
behind the enemy team right now. He's behind the base with Jerky following behind. Rajaro joins
Oh,
in
that was a
as the
huge
back
flank.
line
Oh, that was a
is
huge flank.
annihilated.
Oh, that was a
Roxy,
huge flank.
Rad, they had the bunker and Navi just found the back
That
door
was
left
a
wide
huge
open.
flank.
Portal going to be
No.
attempted from Vertigo, but I don't know if they're going to make it in time here. Will make the portal in time, but the team has to be grouped up. They now have 4 Smashness onto the rocket to try and keep the team healed up and try and get that Battle Rebirth beacon onto the board. Ducky's dropping low. Lugia holding the point as best as they can with the extra sustain here with the triple Vanguard for any kind of delay. But with Ducky down, Vertigo is soon to follow. Lugia is desperately trying with the bonus health, but it's just a 1-by-1 trickle of players, literally buying a little bit of time. Crazy Kitty's just off the
Dang,
edge. They
dude.
know it's just time to
He
reach.
accepted his
Jerky
fate.
is having
No,
such a good
man.
series. He actually goes through Rad's own portal to totally zone Mash and Vertigo from being able to join their team on the point itself. They have to play so much safer in spawn, but that only gives them angles of heals into what they see from portal. So Ducky falls
You
very
sound
quickly.
exhausted,
Navi are able
Jay.
to
No,
totally
it's just have to be
isolate any
quiet, chat.
opportunity for the strategists to be able to sustain that heal.
I'm not trying to
in the
wake up
face of
Emily. I'm
Trust
trying to let
Me's
her sleep.
Banhammer as we move into second phase. And Navi, because they were able to do that very cheaply, are about to hit things like this Raging Roll Flush, which Rad have no good response to.
Navi creeping their way forward. Jerky's moved off the Psylocke onto the Star-Lord here with the Raging Royal Flush. They don't have Galactic Legend yet, but a Blast of Barrage will not find anything, but could have had a lot of damage output if they've been able to find a target. But they do get found by a Crazy Kitty, who drops as much damage as they can, but immediately caught in the Heartbreaker, trying to chase on back, duel out Rajaro. But just trust me, with the barrier, trying to keep Crazy Kitty away from the front line. The counter engage is good though, and it's slow and steady, but Rad are able to take the counter duel.
Yeah, Crazy Kitty is being very problematic for Navi to have to deal with. Crook also used that Gambit
I
ult
think you
very
should keep this
early,
pitch
split
in
apart
volume all
from
the time.
Jerky, but he
No,
will have
chat.
the Cosmic Yarn amplifier
I am a very
to have the
loud
damage boost
person, and I like to
capabilities, 40%
scream.
amped
That's
to that
why I'm-
Galactic Legend, which means that Rad will be relying on Lugia Go, having to try and body block some of that incoming damage from the Star-Lord.
On the high ground right now, keeps the team topped up. Here comes the Galactic Legend with the Yard Amplifier. But
Oh
Crazy
my-
Kitty again catches them out the air. Ruby Rage Smashness knows it's time to pull the trigger. It's all or nothing on the counter to at least
That
get
is
some
crazy,
counterplay out
bro.
and to
This
slow
guy-
down Na'Vi, and they do so.
This guy just ulted a ult. That's he just ulted a ulting Star-Lord in the air, dude. Crazy Kitty is insane.
But they just counteracted one of Na'Vi's best chances to engage.
Oh, what a last stand from Crazy Kitty. That might be the last stand that RAD
Crazy
able to
Kitty
rally
is
around
disgusting,
as well, as
bro.
Terra's Goddess of Death is not a good engagement tool for Na'Vi. RAD can simply just disengage it or have Lugia go body block, but the grab from Rajara is good. Holds the Angela in place long enough for the elimination to come out. You do have BRB to bring him back into the mix, but there's Terra with the Goddess of Death, gets burned out of the ultimate early. RAD relying on Ducky on the Venom to stall. Heaven's Retribution connecting onto Navi's players. No strategist up, but they are able to purify with level 1 Crook to break the chain.
Crook's able to take the duel, but it's taking too much damage. Ducky with the chase, but in the meantime, the cart is moving forward. It's a trickle of low health members for RAD who get stunned out by Hela. The invisible boundary will give them at least a little bit of extra time to try and contest this, and they make their way onto the point to push them in. Trust me, it's trying to take out the backline.
That's so sad. I'm sorry to hear that, Mr. Wind-Up Bird.
It's reinforcing onto the point as Crazy Kitty is just going to be able to push people off the point, but there's still 2 minutes left while RAD take yet another fight. Na'Vi takes several more meters, meaning that they are just one fight away from opening that door and getting more time back.
And they have the best
Hey,
ult to
Raptors
be able to
with
do
another
it.
massive dono, my friend. There's a lot of you guys from Hong Kong, man.
In response, Cosmic Yawn Amplify from Vertigo has to keep RAD in this fight if they even get the opportunity to use it.
Hey, appreciate it, appreciate it.
Fallen.
I would love to go.
The app immediately comes out to try and keep the momentum going with one person already down, but RAD attacking through it. Last stand! It's a triple!
Crazy Kitty, dude.
As RAD annihilate Na'Vi, all defensive tools are
Crazy
gone.
Kitty
It's
is
just Heartbreaker
insane,
with a
bro.
minute to go.
Holy
RAD back
shit.
in the series, Moxie.
I have
Crazy
never
Kitty's
seen this
last
much
stand pinned them
deadlifting
into Feast
since
of
I've been
Phoebus
to the
from
gym chat.
Ducky.
What are your thoughts on that?
The coordination from RAD is out of this world at this moment, but it costs them so much to be able to do so. It buys them the time to get invisible boundary to be able to respond to this Heartbreaker, but Na'Vi, they can use Dance of the Butterflies and force the invisible boundary early.
They're trying to delay it as best they can. The Heartbreaker trying to pull them back in here. Crazy Kitty is trying to do as much damage as they can, but with Smashness down early. If Na'Vi can win the neutral, that would be huge. Mash goes
Wait,
down
how did he
before
spin
ultimate is
twice? I thought it was a
charged,
20-second
and Na'Vi
cooldown.
just make their way in with the Dance of the Butterfly and then clean up on the neutral. Ducky falls. Smashness knows that it's portal time. They need to try and interrupt this because otherwise it comes down to that extra time, 3 meters.
You
They
get
touch
2
with
spins?
just a few
Really?
seconds left. Ducky has moved on to the thing to buy as much
I
time as they
did
can with
not
the Lost
even know
Mirage.
that.
Galactic Legend right into the open portal. The pentagram of Ferrara has turned into a slaughter field as Na'Vi mow them down 1 by 1. As RAD
Is there anything that
everything they
resets
can.
it?
The
Like a
boundary is good,
dive?
but they've lost 2 members already. But then right next to their spawn point, Terra on the flank. Make sure that they don't get caught out of position. They take down Mash, so no more healing on the boundary. Vertigo is on Strategist Pool, who's taken down. The Adam's taken down. There's no res. He's going to go down.
It's just a 3-second cooldown? Wait, that's crazy, bro. I didn't know that.
And RAD was so close, but Na'Vi break
I mean, to
it
be honest
open,
with you,
and the finish
the
line is
spin
just ahead.
does feel kind of ass.
I think stepping off of
I feel
the
like
objective
I was about to
in
say
OT is
earlier, but I
about
feel
to
like the
cost
spin
RAD
doesn't
the
really
potential of coming
do
back
anything.
in
It's
this
just really
series.
really
Tatcha,
used
you
for
don't have
movement
invisible
and like
boundary. Na'Vi have a minute to be able to build up this gambit
movement
ult
ability.
and engage before RAD get the opportunity. All they have to do is not lose someone early to this dive. Using the Cosmic Yawn Amplify just keeps the pressure onto RAD, does not allow them to successfully regroup because someone has to go store the objective and they're just losing too many players. BRB is already burned, no chance of an ultimate.
Stellar
which means that
Ghouls
Na'Vi
with
will
a
just be
massive
able to
10 months.
blanket
Absolutely
damage
insane,
and
my
ult
friend.
on the objective to stop RAD from holding. Dance of the Butterfly is layered into
I am
Fate
not
of
coming out with an
Followed up
ASMR
by
channel,
by
chat.
Raging Roll Flush. This is just cleanup at this point. Na'Vi crossing
Damn.
the T's, dotting the I's, closing out the series.
If I was
in a
Crazy
free
Kitty chat, I would hold my head
By
up
golly,
high, bro.
RAD came
That was a
close to
really,
taking Central
really
Park.
good showing.
A bit more of a literal